What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about Melissa Barrera's character, Samantha Carpenter, in Scream yet again. And I want to talk about the confliction that's been going on, the conflict of her character online in terms of the Scream fandom. I want to make sure I come across very, very clear. I want to make sure I kind of see both sides of it. That's kind of just the person I am. I'm not one to say your opinion doesn't matter, and so get lost, right? There's a lot of channels out there, and the entire world actually is moving heavily in that direction. I'm totally okay with you having a difference of opinion, or us just not agreeing on a character, or a plot point, or a this or a that, in anything. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think we can still all talk about whether it's Scream or whether it's games that I cover, right? I think we can all do that. So I just want to, that's an important point I try to make, because I really don't want to come across like your opinion doesn't matter. It absolutely does, and it doesn't matter that we disagree. But so here's what I'll say. In terms of Sam as a character, I'm kind of fed up with the overall, again, conflict, I guess, online. So what's basically happened, in my opinion, from what I have seen, is I think people are really being just labeled, right? If you don't like her as a character, you don't maybe like Melissa Barrera's acting or whatever, you're immediately an evil person who, you must absolutely hate Scream, or you're the toxic fans that they're talking about, or you're just not allowed to not like it. Meanwhile, you have to like her. You have to think she's great. You have to think she's amazing, and there's really no in-between. Now, of course, there is an in-between. Of course, what I just said is obviously people exaggerate, in my opinion, right? It's exaggerations, and I'm sure there's people that don't fit in those two groups. I'm sure not everybody thinks that, and I'm sure not everybody is pushing that. But I will say there is a fraction of the Scream community that is like that it's either it's the Anakin quote, you're either with me or you're my enemy. That is really what a group of people think, where you're not allowed to have any negative things to say about Sam as a character, right? Or Melissa Barrera even as an actor. Now, of course, there should be no threats. There should be no personal attacks on Melissa Barrera in terms of, again, threatening her, going after her, stuff like that. There's obviously lines that are drawn that you don't cross, you know what I mean? But I don't think it's invalid if you think, or you don't, maybe you're not the biggest fan of her acting, or maybe you don't think Sam is all that great of a character. I think you have every right to that opinion, just like you have every right to an opinion saying, well, I actually really liked her. Now, if you've watched my past videos, you would know, but in case, maybe you missed out on some, I think she was fine. I don't think she was a great character. I didn't think the acting performance was all that amazing. I think both the acting and the character herself were kind of right down the middle. I do think she got better as time went on. I think the potential for her character is enormous in the next movie in terms of how do you continue to deal with Billy in your head. I mean, obviously, it's just an extension of her, but, how do you deal with that? Can you make her the killer? Can you make her somebody who's just very untrustworthy of others, right? She doesn't trust anybody. Maybe she kills somebody on accident because she thinks they're Ghostface. Maybe Tara has to stop her. I mean, what you can do with Sam is incredible. I really, it's more than really you could have even done with Sydney. Now, is she a better character than Sydney? Absolutely not, in my opinion. But, there's a lot you can do. So, again, what I'm trying to do here is trying to, make it very clear where I stand. I don't think it was an incredibly well-acted performance, but I don't think it was bad. And I also don't think she was a great character, but I don't think she was horrible. You know what I mean? She was, again, right down the middle. And is that a weakness for the movie? Yes, I've been very vocal on that if I were to point out some of the weaknesses I had with Scream 2022, she'd be one of them. I don't think she was the greatest lead. I don't think she was the greatest final girl. And also, again, to be fair and to re-say what I've said, I think also a big part of it is just Tara and Jenna Ortega outshined her in every moment, every scene. Now, did some of that kind of come from the opening scene, which I think really set the stage for Tara just as a really cool character? Yeah, I'm sure that helped her character out, and it probably hurt Sam. And then as the movie went on, though, all the scenes they had together, I think Tara was just the better character every single time. I don't think there was one time where Sam was the better character in a scene that they both shared. That, again, that's just my opinion. But, that's part of it. That was part. And I really don't have anything massively negative. Again, I don't think the movie was bad. I actually really liked it overall. I'm excited for the next movie. All of that, I know it sounds like I'm just doing throwaway lines, but I've said these things, for the past month, so I'm just assuming maybe you've heard some of them. But something that has really ticked me off online is the And look, ultimately, I'm probably the most controversial of all of the Scream content creators. I probably am the least afraid to say, say my true thoughts and all that stuff. And I know I get some backlash for it. And by the way, the other Scream content creators are phenomenal, and we all talk and we've all made videos. But no, I mean, ultimately, what it comes down to though is I just don't like the discourse around her on social media. I'm not a fan. Maybe you can tell this by the way I talk and the way I have talked over the last several years. I don't like being told what to say. I don't like being told what to think, right? That's a big deal for me. And I think that's what I've seen so much of online. Now, again, like, is there overstepping from both sides? Yes. Are there people that are probably going too far with the attack, with, like, again, attacks on Melissa Barrera as a person? Yeah, probably there are. And I, that stuff shouldn't happen. And I would never go so far to say that stuff. I'm sure she's a great you know what I mean? Like, I don't care. Now, I don't really care about any of these, celebrity Hollywood types, but I'm sure she's fine. You know what I mean? So I would never go so far to attack her or anything like that. All I would say is that you are, though, allowed to say that you don't like her character, or maybe you just don't think she's all that amazing. Again, what I really think, specifically Twitter, right? Twitter is a hotbed for this stuff. It's my way or the highway, and that's what a lot of what I see from some, not all, but I do see from some Scream fans where it's like, well, you have to love her. And then also on the reverse, again, what really makes me mad, and this goes back to the whole toxic fandom stuff, the stuff that I was warning about and wondering about really for how they would handle it in the movie. What I've really not liked is the whole, again, I guess, the whole if you're not with me, you're my enemy. But if you just say anything negative, you're toxic. And I despise that line of thinking. It's just like, just because I don't think Sam is the best character on planet Earth, I don't think she's the best final girl, or I think Tara is just better, does not mean I'm toxic. Doesn't, you know what I mean? It doesn't mean my opinion doesn't matter, because it's my opinion. And by the way, you don't have to listen to people that disagree with you or people that flat out hate you or whatever. You don't have to listen to them. That's up to you to do it. But, just because I don't like something, doesn't mean, or one aspect of it, doesn't mean I hate the whole thing. So that's something that I've learned, it exists everywhere. And I'm not saying the Scream fandom is some, garbage shoot of people. No, I actually think the Scream fandom is phenomenal. I think there's some incredible people, and it's overwhelmingly nice. I just don't know if it's overwhelmingly understanding of a difference of opinion, right? I think that's something that the fandom can maybe work on a little, which is fun. Again, just kind of poking fun at it. It's just something I've noticed, and I don't really, it's something that I think holds it back, ultimately. Not holds the fandom back, holds, like, the movies back, where it's like, if all you're allowed to say is how great she is, how's she ever supposed to get better? How's the movie? And I've said this before, and I've actually said it to other Scream content creators. It's like, if we just, not to say we need to say negative things just to say it, but if we're told by others that we're only allowed to say certain things, or if we say the opposite, we're toxic and we don't belong in the fandom, which really does just, what does that really do? Boil down. All that does is get a group of people together that have nothing but great things and praise to say about something. Well, how is that ever supposed to keep moving forward? How is it supposed to ever improve, right? Because there is going to be weaknesses throughout, and how are you ever going to point them out if by pointing them out you're kicked out of the fandom, right? Now, again, I'm not saying that happens, but there's I've noticed stuff on Twitter. So that's just something that worries me a little bit, where it's like you can be allowed to say you don't like Sam. I think that's totally valid to say that you don't like her as a character, or just there's problems. I would not say I don't like her. I think actually I would maybe say that for the first half of the movie, but I think she gets better as the movie goes on, and maybe that's the writing, maybe that's how her character is supposed to be, maybe we haven't seen the full plan for her character, maybe we'll appreciate how she did it more in the next movie, depending on what, like, all these things are possible, and they're very plausible. They could very well happen. We just don't know yet. But again, to throw out those ideas now is silly to me, right? You're allowed to say whatever you want, as long as, there's lines in the ground that you shouldn't cross. But to say you're not allowed to say it, or you're kicked out of the fandom, is pretty silly. And I do see, an okay amount of that on social media. So just know, for me specifically, I guess a public service announcement, and I've always said this is not like, oh, I'm capitalizing off of this. No, I've said this for years. My channel, not just for Scream, but for everything, is a place where you can think however you want. Now, again, there's lines, and I don't like threats and or personal, like super personal attacks or going on and stuff like that. Like, there's obviously things you don't do, but to just have a difference of opinions, just know that I'm completely fine with it, that you're okay on the channel. I'm not going to censor you in the comments. I'm not going to say, oh, you can't say that. No, you're allowed to say whatever you want, and it's okay if you and me disagree, and it's okay if you disagree with others. Let's just be respectful about that, and that's all. That's how really the world should be, but it's such a small group that actually still does it. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, so you know all these videos go up. All my social media is in the description below if you guys want to check it out. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you all on the next video.